Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas Podcast, where I'm still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me, one of the stars from the 2023, which feels like forever ago now, Andrew Lindsey, because, look, man, baseball season, one of the fun things about your school becoming one of the premier baseball programs in the country is that you spend a lot of time with those teams, and the season keeps going. And when you keep winning, and you're like, oh, we're almost in July now, and Tennessee is still just rolling. And I think that's going to be the case year in and year out. And that's all to say, the 2023 season feels like forever ago, and it wasn't that long ago. Andrew Lindsey, now in the minor leagues with the Tampa Bay Rays organization. Andrew, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's really good to be on the Chase Thomas show. Like you said, it's amazing to watch the Tennessee baseball program become one of those premier programs and continuously in contention for a national championship and going to the College World Series, Omaha, Nebraska. It's great seeing those faces last year on the TV screen. It definitely made me jump around the apartment a few times during that World Series. So it's a lot of fun watching it.
So when you're watching, what was your thought with the Combsy situation? Were you pacing around? You're like, does Combsy have enough? Where were you at? What do we do with Kirby? Are you pacing around? How does that work for you?
Man, I am a pacer, and I was pacing all over. I wore a path in that apartment complex. My roommates were probably upset. They were having to hear all of the what was that calls and all of the shenanigans that goes on with a crazy game like that.
Do you have some Frank Anderson in you? Did he rub off on you a little bit where you get pretty intense, and you weren't that intense pre-Tennessee, but post-Tennessee you're like, I am a really intense baseball watcher now. I get into this. I want to go out and fight for my guys like Frank.
Yeah, especially with Tennessee, I'm watching my guys that I've played with, and I'm looking at Simo hitting bombs through the wind, and then just Dreiling coming through in the clutch like he always does. Just so many guys that I've been able to play with, and it gets me more into it watching those guys. And just like Frank, you want to fight for your guys, and you want to be in their corner. You want to be in that dugout.
I imagine it kind of feels, because we'll get into detail, just kind of like your rise on Friday nights and everything, and for Tennessee last year, and what with everything in the minor league level now. But it's kind of like the Dalton Connect thing, where you see it that 1 year. It was only 1 year, but it was a special year, and I think you established yourself where Tennessee fans remember what you did, and that team. I think without 2023 fighting through that adversity, where you're preseason number 2, there's all kinds of expectations. You have to go out and play some good teams early with Arizona and Grand Canyon and company. And the hitting isn't what fans had expected. You're coming off the number 1, just maybe best team of the 21st century. So it was just a weird year in a lot of ways. And then you just kept winning. And then the Southern Miss debacle of everything with all of that, I just imagine was a wild time for the team. But it's just one of those where you just had to fight through so much adversity, and you just kept winning. You just kept finding ways to advance to Omaha. And I thought that was just, I hope that season's not forgotten in this 4-year window of Tennessee baseball lore, that team was just so impressive to fight through a lot of those preseason lofty expectations, to not let those early season struggles kind of mess with them. And I think you were a big reason why.
Well, first of all, at the beginning of that, you mentioned me in the same sentence with Dalton Connect, and what an incredible season he's having with the Lakers. He's putting up some serious numbers, which is pretty awesome. Crazy to be mentioned in a statement with him. But yeah, that year was crazy. I think we all learned a lot from that. But yeah, like you said, coming in preseason number 2, hitting wasn't exactly what you wanted it to be. A lot of adversity, both on and off the field, with just Maui not being able to be in the lineup that opening weekend. You had Griffin Merritt not being able to be in the lineup that weekend. So a lot of adversity off
Mm.
the jump there with that 2023 season, and then just different things coming at us. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to be a part of it. A lot of great things came from it, and uh, then to watch them come back in the next season and those guys be able to do it and take it all the way to the house, bring
And
that national championship back to Knoxville.
I
Awesome.
mean, it was big time, and it's one of those where the early this year with the Vol Sports guys and stuff, where I was like, because the Friday night got weird, and you're having to do an opener on Friday nights, and AJ was awesome. AJ Kazi was great for them, and it was Stamos really settled in there, but it was like you don't. It was just such a weird year, and you're like, man, Andrew Lindsey, we gotten one more year of Lindsey on Friday nights. That would have been ideal, because you just didn't know how sustainable the opener and then the long relief stuff was, where it was not a traditional weekend rotation for Tennessee. And of course, because that's baseball situation ever, is that's the year that you win it all and it all comes together. But all year,
In
it's just
true
that,
baseball
did you feel
fashion.
like that, where you would have liked to just get more than one? Like, it's just like, man, that was really fun. This really came together. I would have liked to get more than one. But then again, you had that one great year, and now that's all fans will remember, is that Andrew Lindsey was really good on Friday nights for us.
Yeah, I mean, having the chance to get back in the dugout with Tony Vitello and uh, Elander, be in the bullpen for Anderson,
Mm.
being able to play for any of those guys again, love them to death. They're incredible coaches, incredible people. Um, it was incredible being in the dugout with them for the year that I got to be in the dugout with them.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit. We can come back to baseball, or for ball baseball here in a second, Andrew. But now that it's kind of a weird situation. So you are traded in state, which does not happen very often. Going from Miami, you were the team you were drafted by, to the Rays,
Yeah.
who have put out so many big time pitchers over the years. Um, I looked this up. I didn't realize, it's almost exactly a day. We're a day away from the exact day you were traded a year ago. Does it
Yeah.
feel that long ago? And do you remember what that day was like for you?
It was a pretty normal day. I was hanging out with a couple of the high school baseball players from my hometown,
Mm,
talking with one of them. We had just walked out of the gym, which we didn't have any cell service in, and I had like 7 missed calls from a number
mm.
that I didn't have saved. And so then as I'm about to call that number back, it calls me again, and it's a Marlins minor league coordinator, and he lets me know that I've been traded. And I didn't even, it never crossed my mind for a moment that it would be that early in my career
Mm.
as a professional baseball player that I would be traded. So I immediately called my agent and was like, I don't even know what this means. And we talked for a little while about it, but yeah, it was a complete shock to me. I had no idea to even expect it or think about it, and then it was just right there on me. So it was cool. Got to talk to the agent. He gave me all kinds of cool information about the Rays and let me know that we have other guys that are in that organization, so he knows them well. So it was really cool, and getting to go down there and see their spring training and be a part of that. The season got cut short for me, but
Mm.
getting to dip my toes in the water, so to speak, was a lot of fun, and getting to look forward to that again with the Rays this upcoming season.
So how are you
Very
feeling
excited.
coming up to the 2025 year? Because it'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's approaching very quickly. I feel really, really good doing PT here in Nashville, Tennessee. Started throwing a couple weeks ago. The arm feels incredible. It's the guys here are doing a great job with that. Got to go to Meister, who's arguably the best Tommy John doctor in the
Hmm.
nation. So um, had a lot of really good things coming together for my arm to feel as good as it does. So
So
very, very excited.
So what was the mindset where you're like, is it kind of like, because I'm always curious, like early on for pitchers, it's kind of like, do you feel better that like this is now behind you, like when you're young and you're early into your professional career, and now you can just move forward? What was your mindset like when you had that setback in April and everything? Because I mean, your second start, you have 6 Ks, it's just one of those things where your just mind is like this early in the year, like I'm excited to just get this thing going with Charleston. and then you have that setback. Like, what was your mindset like throughout this calendar year, and was that part of it of just like, hey, this stinks, but at least I'm going through this now when I'm young, so that I can be ready to go years down the line.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it was it was kind of sad to be cut short that early in the year,
Mm,
but at the same time, I got a lot of years out of the elbow and the UCL
mm,
that I had. So keeping it healthy through Tennessee and allowing me to even get to the position where I could be a professional baseball player and have that be a setback then instead of in my college career and possibly
yeah.
never even being in professional baseball and sitting here talking to you.
Mm,
So it was sad while it happened when it did, but um, you have setbacks and you hope that you come back just as strong or stronger and do everything that you can to make sure that that has the best possibility of happening. But um, it was tough, but got to watch some of the guys that I got drafted with and played with in Charleston go out there and do their thing and have incredible years too. So
do you think anything about you pitching wise will change post post injury? Like, are you working on new stuff, or did you use the time to like, all right, I'm gonna maybe add this to my repertoire, or I'm gonna do this a little bit differently? Do you foresee any changes?
there might be some changes. It's kind of too early in the throwing process to really
Mm,
see. I'm barely throwing 60 feet at this point, so
mm,
um, there's a lot of window there for adjustments to be made and potentially adding in new pitches. I hope to add in maybe a new pitch,
mm.
but it's kind of hard to tell this early if the arm is gonna come back full strength or not. So that's really, I'm just worried about getting back to throwing the ball as well as I was, and then hopefully when I start hopping on the mound and throwing pitches, we might add in something.
There you go.
So
Um, so what do you remember? I mean, it's been a while, but your second start, you have 6 Ks, you give up 0 earned runs. Do you remember what you were thinking about, like settling in and just what was working for you in that game, and just kind of like, hey, because obviously there's not a lot of post Tennessee reps for you to this point, but in that one where you're like, okay, this isn't as scary as I thought it'd be, because you're now a professional ball player, like you're in it, and you were cooking there a little bit.
yeah, that outing I was effectively wild, and if you look at the stat line, I think I had 3 or 4 walks.
Yeah,
Um, so
six
a
Ks
little
though.
bit higher, a little bit higher of a walk count, but
Mm,
with the wild pitches, the hitters, I guess maybe were swinging scared or
mm,
I don't know. I can't get into the mind of a hitter, but um, I don't know why, but somehow it was effective and
mm.
um, so it worked out well for that outing, but you know, definitely not what I would picture a good outing looking like as far as getting those Ks and having a solid outing.
I mean, what do you think at this level? Like, do you see a lot of Ks? Like, how do you see, like, you talked about the control and the walk rate and things like that? What were some early things you heard from honestly like Tennessee and just the coaches at the minor league level of like things that you want to improve on from your last year at Tennessee to becoming a multi-year starter at the professional level?
Definitely a little bit of the control aspect. I think I had good control, but not great. Definitely could improve in that area. It, it's it was kind of tough because there was such a small sample size to begin with. So
Mm,
just working on that consistency of throwing the ball where I wanted it in the zone, not just in the zone in general.
mm.
Um, but yeah, that was one of the things that we were looking at, and then it's kind of difficult to do that in such a short time and really get results that you want to see from that. But um, yeah, just controlling the zone, working it better,
Is that the
hitting
hardest
spots
thing
within
for
the
a
zone.
pitcher to master? Is just control? Like you get like, or is stuff the most difficult? Is it to just master, like to really get good stuff, or is it actually just control is the most difficult thing?
I think that varies from pitcher to pitcher.
Hmm.
Some guys naturally spin it really, really well and lack the control aspect.
Hmm.
And then other guys really can't get the ball to move the way that they want or as much as
Hmm.
they want, but they can put it on a dime. So it's a constant pull of maybe you can get it to move a lot, but even if you can, you can't put it where you want it when you do get it to move a lot. So you have to dial that back and make the ball move less so that you
Mm.
can put it where you want it. It's a constant chess game of putting the right spin on the ball, location, control. It's a real chess match standing out there on the mound.
What's the biggest thing that fans who watch Andrew Lindsey pitch miss with you? What do you think is that one of the things that you do or that's really hard for pitchers in your spot that you do well that fans may not see?
Oh, wow, that's a I don't- the Tennessee fans especially are so into the game and they want
Mm.
to know and they watch so closely that it's hard to get anything by them,
Mm.
especially in a Friday night spot. Um, I really don't think that there's anything that they missed, especially when talking to some of you guys after games and y'all's questions. I don't think there's much missed from
Mm.
Tennessee, especially now. Maybe early
Yeah.
when Vitello just got there, there was a lot of things that went overlooked. But
Mm.
with the way that Tony's brought the program up and the eyes that the program has now, I don't think you're slipping anything by anybody.
I love that. Chase Dollander, I talked to him this summer. He was doing well at Spokane and moving up. And I just the Rockies are just Tennessee West. Like I hope you're renting Andrew because you might be a Rocky here before you know with Halverson and everybody else. Who knows
Yeah,
how many Rockies? Jordan Beck obviously at the top, but yeah, Colorado. Todd Helton, like obviously the
yeah.
greatest Rocky of all time. Like Tennessee, it's just a pipeline for the Rockies, but. What have you talked with Chase this year and just kind of what you saw from him? Were you able to watch a lot of what Chase was doing?
I got to watch. I didn't talk to him, but I did watch and saw him in the prospect All-Star game. Um, it, Dollander's doing Dollander things. He's just it's fun to watch him.
Mm.
He makes it look easy. He makes it look like you can go out there and do the same thing and
Mm.
have the same results. And he does it with just a calm, cool, collected poise that is it's a lot of fun to watch. But he looked very comfortable, very
Mm.
confident in what he was doing, and the Rockies saw that too. They promoted him up a little bit throughout the season, and then like you said, Halverson getting his big league debut, doing his thing at the big stage. Beck, I don't know Beck that well. Got to watch him play, never played with
Mm.
him, but you know, yeah, the Rockies do seem to be Tennessee West, and Dollander seems to be putting himself in a wonderful position to continue that and go ahead and make his big league debut before we know it.
What's the biggest difference between you as a pitcher and Dollander as a pitcher?
um, Dollander, he's he likes to throw four seams
Mm.
and curveballs, which is kind of you're working the zone vertically.
Mm.
I throw sinkers and cutters, which sinkers move horizontally. Both of
Mm.
those pitches are horizontal pitches. So while he's trying to elevate the fastball or blow you away with a fastball and get strikeouts, he does a really good job of getting strikeouts.
Mm.
It's a little bit more difficult for me to get the strikeouts, and I get a lot of ground balls, a lot of weak contact into the ground, keep the ball out of the air. He's I'm gonna give up probably more base hits and um, things that just get through the holes and stuff, and then he's gonna strike guys out and give up. Hopefully, he keeps the bases empty as possible, but with a four seam that you throw at the top of the zone, if guys catch up to it, it's prone to the long ball. So
Mm.
while he's working vertically, I'm working horizontally, and because of that, we end up giving up different styles of hits and runs.
And that's also like why last year was just so difficult, I think, for hitters. I mean, like you on Fridays and Doe on Saturdays, it's just very different. So you don't really, I mean, you saw that again this year. Zander is a very different pitcher than True Beam on Saturdays, and then you're dealing with the opener and and Kazi and the sidearm on
Yeah.
Friday. Like there was a lot of variety
Yeah.
in the Tennessee rotation this year, but I also, like you just pointed out, there was a lot more variety last year with you and Doe and Beam as well.
Yeah, for sure. It
I
was a
like
lot of
it.
fun watching these guys this year. It was interesting seeing the opener.
Uh-huh.
I didn't really, I never, I mean, Anderson's a very intuitive coach and he's always looking for
Mm,
things to do. And when AJ Russell, which I'm excited to see him come back this
mm,
year, make his junior campaign, um, but watching them lose him and then have to go to this AJ Kazi
mm.
Stamos combo with the opener. That was a really interesting time to watch that and see how that unfolded as well. So uh, cool to for you to point that out and notice that as a fan and see the difference in how that plays into a weekend rotation.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of, I mean, Xander was obviously with you, and Xander, I mean, he's going to be forever just a Tennessee legend for the run he went on from May
Yeah,
on. Lefty,
yeah,
southpaw, very different kind of stuff. Just finding ways to. He was just he's just a great story. Like Zander Sechrist is one of
yeah.
the best stories in Tennessee baseball history. What did you make of Xander's run and like just the personality that Zander has and what you saw from him? What did you make of all that for Zander?
Well, man, where do you start? Xander's such an interesting character.
Hmm.
And you can see it when he's on the mound, but even getting to see him off the field and in the locker room and in practice and stuff like that, uh, he's so much fun to be around. He's such a good teammate. He works incredibly hard. He's focused on his craft, but he has fun doing it too. So he's one of those rare guys that you get to bring into a program that knows how to have the fun and knows how to enjoy the team and bring the team together and also go out there and put up numbers like he did
Mm,
and come together at the end of a season, even though he's not throwing 97, 98, he's going out there and he's giving you strikeouts and goose eggs on the scoreboard with his funky stuff that he throws from the bump. And it was incredible watching it. I was in disbelief with some of it. I was like, this is like a historic run, and I feel like it almost went unnoticed for a couple of weeks there. It was like, oh, he had a good outing here and a good outing here, and then he just kept having those incredible
mm.
outings into the postseason, and it was incredible to watch. It was so much fun. Hats off to him. Love it for him. Love it for Tennessee, and love to watch him really do anything. Interviews with Kirby, whatever it is, whatever he's doing, it's an entertaining time. We should have
Absolutely.
him. We should have had him on here.
We we've mentioned Frank here throughout, and I asked Doe this question this summer, and I'm curious from your vantage
Mm.
point, what is the most misunderstood thing about Frank Anderson, and what is your favorite thing you learned from Frank and your time at UT?
Oh man. Um, man, that's such a difficult. You put me on the spot here with this one. I think probably the most misunderstood thing might be. I, I feel like it might be that he's old and he's like he's not got that fire
Mhm.
because
We didn't see him as
sometimes you
much out
get
of the box this year, like out of the dugout. Excuse me. Like he has the fire. We just didn't see it as much this year. You kind of wonder. You're
yeah.
like, oh, maybe he's calming down a little bit. Maybe just we've won so
No.
much that he's just a little bit more chill. It's fine.
Um, I think because of the fire and that he does have,
Hmm.
for us as players, you would think that sometimes it would be scary to talk to him,
Yeah.
and it's really not. I think he's probably the most personable coach.
Hmm.
It was so easy to go talk to him. It was so much fun sitting in the bullpen talking to him, and that probably leads into what I learned from him that I try to keep with me
Mm,
in bullpens and in getting prepared to go into games or weekends or face certain lineups or whatever. Um, just not taking it overly serious,
mm.
um, or in a bullpen, in a midweek bullpen in between starts. If you don't have your stuff, that doesn't mean that it's time to go into panic mode. Um, Sometimes he would crack a joke or ask me about a pitch or ask me about family or whatever it is, and
Mm.
just take my mind off of it. And then going back to it, it was a lot easier to just focus on the pitches and not think about whatever else might be going on, but just executing what you need to execute, staying in the zone and trusting your stuff.
I love it. Um, on the flip side, teammate wise, who do you think is the guy that fans see like out of the dugout, on the field, in interviews? Who's different behind the scenes? Where you're like, he's actually pretty funny, or he's actually pretty quiet. He may seem like a huge extrovert, but he's really not. Who from that 2023 team fits that bill?
Um, Man, this is a sneaky pick, um, but we didn't get to hear much from him because he was a freshman at the time. But Andrew Banky,
Hmm.
we didn't hear much from him. Um, got out there, threw some innings for us, but it, so funny.
Really? Okay.
A very funny guy.
Is he the new Xander?
Just I don't know. I don't know if he's quite that style of funny,
Okay.
but he's just fun to be around. He's I enjoyed him. I enjoyed getting to talk to him and hang out with him. Very interesting guy, and
Hmm.
I think we didn't get to see much of him from the 2023 season.
Hmm.
Hopefully this year, with it being his junior year, been around the program for a long time, we
Hmm.
get to see more of him. But yeah, Andrew Banky.
I love that. I think he's slated for another big year. I mean, he was good, and you can never just have enough lefties that you trust out of
Yeah,
the bullpen. You can never have enough of those guys. And Kirby's gone, so maybe he's in the Kirby zone where he's your glue guy, and
yeah,
he gets a lot of opportunities with Kirby moving on to the staff.
yeah. Hopefully we get to see him out of the bullpen or whatever role that they put him in.
What do you think makes Tennessee baseball and Tony Vitello? We've talked around Vitello to this point, but he wins big, and like we talked about, the 4-year run that you were a part of in 2023 is the best 4-year run in college baseball, the best 4-year run obviously in Tennessee baseball history. What do you think from being in the program makes Tony a special coach, and what makes the Tennessee program the Goliath that it is? Going forward too. I mean, just with the class that every day, like as we're recording, I'm sure there's gonna be another 26, 25 kid who jumps in the boat here. But what from your vantage point would you explain Vitello and his excellence here the last 4 years?
Man, that you could attribute it to so many things. He does a lot of things well, and that may be the answer, as simple as it may sound, or um, as broad as it may sound. Just his consistency
Mm,
in the little things and paying attention to those little things and trusting his gut. You can see where, he's made decisions that were not easy and could have easily been criticized if they potentially went a different way. But, he sees things that a lot of people don't see, and he trusts what he sees, and he trusts his coaches too. Elander and Anderson have been there with him for all of this. So trusting them and what they have to say and going with it and instilling that confidence in the players. There's so many things that go into creating what they have created
mm.
and keeping that and sustaining that over the period of time that they have. So you could go down a whole laundry list of things that they do really, really well.
This is a two-parter, and we'll get out of here, Andrew. I don't know if this is something that pitchers think about at all, because Drew Beam moves around in his starts. Zander was a Tuesday guy, then he's a Sunday guy. We'll see what it looks like
Yeah.
this weekend. You were a Friday guy at Tennessee. is that something that pitchers in college baseball want? Like you relish the opportunity to be a Friday guy? Because part of me, I'd be like, if I was a college pitcher, and I'm very far from it, Andrew, is like Sunday would be cool. Like if it's a 1-1 series, I love that, like the idea of like winning the series and being the Sunday guy. But like Saturday would be the least appealing to me because I feel like there's a lot more pressure on the Saturday start if things don't go well on Friday. Then it's like, oh, I got to save the series. I
Yeah.
don't really love that. Is that something you thought about and pitchers think about, and were you like really excited, like oh, Friday, awesome, Friday night's the way to go. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, at the moment, I really didn't think about it at all. In the middle of the season like that, I didn't think going into the season that that was something that I would ever be put into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the fact that it was even uh, a conversation or something that was happening, I didn't even have time to think about it as
Mm.
far as what I would prefer.
Yeah.
Um, and really, if you would have asked me what day I wanted to throw in, I would have just said, whatever gives us the best chance to win,
Mm.
whether that's Saturday, Friday, Sunday, staying in the bullpen, whatever that looks like. I just want to win ball games.
Mm.
So, um, to even have that conversation was out of left field. So, I didn't have time to think about it. But looking at it now, looking back at it, each of those days has their own appeal.
Mm.
As a Friday night guy, you have a clean slate. The series is 0-0. You get to go out there and face the lineup for the first time, so you get to navigate them and see what's working, see what's not working potentially for the rest of the weekend. But go out there and set a tone. And then on Saturday, if you're up in the series or down in the series, either way, you can either close the series out and make it a weekend series one,
Mm.
or you're down in the series and you get to the opportunity to go out there and even it up. So, both of those days have that appeal. And then Sunday, if you do get to a 1-1 or, a sweep opportunity, then you go out there and you have that chip on your shoulder and you get to go out there with that expectation or that desire to close out the series and make it a series win if it is tied up, or make it a sweep and go home with 3 dubs.
I love it. Final thing, Andrew, what was your favorite Vol memory in 2023? What was your favorite pitching memory? Was it A&M? I feel like you had a really good game against A&M, if I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah.
right? You kind of saved that game. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that was a really good outing for me. I came
Yeah.
in, I believe after, I want to say Beam, or it was either Beam or Burns, I want to
I think it was
say.
a Saturday game. I think
But
it was Beam. I feel like it was Beam.
um,
I feel like it was a day game. If I remember correctly, I feel like it was a day game.
but either way, came in and was able to get the job done and
Mm.
and save some runs there and get us in a position to win that game. But man, I that favorite Vol memory, that's tough. Um, Maybe South Carolina.
Mm.
Um, that weekend was kind of weird. It was supposed to be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday weekend instead of a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Mm.
The rain made the conditions unplayable for Thursday, so then we have to push back Friday and then do a doubleheader on Saturday. Um, we hadn't gone on the road at that point and won a series.
Mm.
So then, Friday night, which was supposed to be Thursday night, comes along and we get the win there, and then we end up winning the series. But just the fact that the diversity came again at the team, and we had an opportunity to get a road win at the end of the year there, prove to ourselves that we could do it, prove to the teams that we were about to be facing going into the um, NCAA tournament that we could do it on the road. Um, it was a not ideal situation. Rain had us figuring out when we were even going to play, but we came through as a team, came together, and got that road win, and then just kept going from there straight into the tournament and made it all the way to the World Series. So to me, I really enjoyed that weekend because
Mm.
it kind of exemplified the entire season with
Yeah.
the adversity, and then uh, we overcame as a team and came together for a road win at the end of the year.
I love it, man. Like I said, I think you got to tie 2023, 2024, because I don't think you have 2024 without 2023. And you did an awesome job here in 2023, and I'm excited for you in 2025 and not beyond here in the Rays organization and getting back on the mound, man, because I miss watching you pitch, and I know great things are ahead for you here in the minors and in the majors, Andrew. So I appreciate you taking the time here today, and good luck this offseason, and we should check back in again soon.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on the podcast, and look forward to talking to you again potentially soon.
Thanks, Andrew.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.